every year there are postseason favorites, and every year some of those, if not all of those favorites, fail to live up to expectations. Certain teams seem to have a tendency of failing year after being regular season demons. Now, there are some teams that are sort of the opposite, like the Houston Astros, who are always good in the regular season, but borderline unstoppable in the postseason. I mean, 7 straight ALCS appearances speaks for itself, so don't mention the fact that they've lost a few World Series in the past couple years. This video is going to make a lot of large fan bases extremely mad at me, so try your best to not attack me in the comments, although constructive criticism is extremely appreciated. I have a couple of honorable mentions that are outside of the top 5 biggest choking teams, but I want to give some love to them. These teams are only off the list because they haven't been the favorite enough to really justify putting on the list. If you're never the favorite, it's difficult to choke. The Cleveland Guardians, or at the time Indians, have blown a couple of big series leads when they shifted to becoming the favorites, like the 2016 World Series when they had a 3-1 lead on the Cubs and proceeded to lose the next 3 games, losing the series. In the 2020 shortened season, they were technically the favorites against the Yankees where they got swept, and 2017 where they had a 2-0 lead on the Yankees in the ALDS and lost 3 straight to lose the series. And in that season, they had 102 wins and the Yankees had just 91 wins. Maybe they do belong on the top 5 list when I read off all these stats, but I'm gonna keep them in the honorable mentions. The Blue Jays have been swept in the past 3 playoff rounds they've been in, including one of the worst playoff implosions in MLB postseason history, where the Blue Jays had an 8-1 lead in the 6th inning and lost the game to send them home. This season, the Jose Barrios pulling was one of the biggest choke jobs I've ever seen as well. They've missed the postseason a lot in the early 2000s, so that's the only reason why they aren't actually in the top 5. The Twins really don't even need to be mentioned. Having the longest postseason losing streak in North American sports history speaks for itself. They haven't really been the favorite in many of those series at all though. That's why I'm just making them an honorable mention. They did also do solid in the postseason this year, so that helps them avoid the list as well. Now, before I get into the real top 5, I'm just going to remind you to subscribe and also like the video if you enjoy it at any point. Less than 1% of my viewers are subscribed to the channel, and if you enjoy this type of content, subscribing will make it more accessible to you. So please consider, thank you. Coming in at top 5 is the Atlanta Braves, and putting the Braves on this list was pretty difficult for me given they won a World Series just 2 seasons ago in 2021. However, they were not the favorites in that season whatsoever. They were considered the underdog in just about every series throughout that postseason, and since this is the biggest chokers, it's a little different. Since then, they've been huge favorites going into the postseason, including 2023 where they were comfortably the best regular season MLB team. They won just 1 game in the postseason. I want to stay fairly recent, but it's almost impossible to talk about choking playoff teams without mentioning the run of choking that the Braves went on in the 90s, as they made 5 World Series and lost 4 of them. This stretch of bad World Series play is one of the most well-known playoff struggles in American sports history. This could become very quickly outdated, however, since the Braves are going to continue to be a very good regular season team for the foreseeable future, with one of the best young cores in all of MLB, if not the single best. So that could definitely change. However, right now they are one of the biggest chokers in MLB history. It's hard to remember that the Athletics were actually extremely good just a few seasons ago, since they've traded away every single one of those good players and now have a squad that has almost 0 notable players. However, it's true. Just a couple of years ago, the Athletics were a truly dangerous team that performed really well in the regular season, even competing with the Houston Astros in certain years for the AL West title. In 2019, they had 97 wins and lost to the Rays in the wild card. In 2018, they had 97 wins and lost to the Yankees in the wild card. I don't love crediting the 2020 season for playoff successes and struggles because that year was just so different than anything else we've ever seen before or after. but they also were the second best team in the AL that season, winning the AL West, and they lost 3-1 in the divisional series. If you want to go back a little further, the Athletics have lost 2 of their last 3 World Series appearances, getting just 1 win total in those 2 lost series. But those 3 World Series appearances were in 3 seasons in a row, so that's pretty impressive. However, since the 2000s, they've made the playoffs 11 times, and 9 of those times they lost in their first series, and have only reached the ALCS in 1 of those 11 tries. Can we just think about that for 1 second, actually? The Athletics have made the postseason 11 times in the past 23 years. That's absolutely insane to think about with the current state of this team. The Rays do not have a long postseason history at all, only making the postseason 9 total times, and over half of those appearances have come in the last 5 years, as they have made it 5 years in a row. A lot of this is because of the Rays being an expansion team, only joining MLB in 1998. They missed the postseason their first 10 seasons of existence, but then immediately went on to make a run to the World Series, where they lost in 5 games to the Phillies. This was the first and last time the Rays have been in the World Series, and since then, they've been choking every other postseason appearance. In the shortened 2020 season, the Rays made it all the way to the World Series, where they lost to the Dodgers. However, the last 3 years have been 3 major choke jobs in a row. In 2021, the Rays were the 1 seed in the AL. They lost in the ALDS to the Red Sox. In 2022, the Rays were the final seed in the AL, but they got swept in the wildcard round. This season, of course, the Rays won 99 games and ended up getting swept by the Rangers at home, in front of hundreds of fans. In 7 of their 9 playoff appearances, they were unable to get past the ALDS. This team dominates the regular season, especially recently, but they always seem to underperform in the postseason. The Yankees may have 27 rings, as their fan base has made that painfully obvious. However, they've also lost 13 World Series matchups. Since 2001, the Yankees have 1 World Series ring in 2009. Also in that stretch, they have won 90 or more games in the regular season 17 times. Along with that, they've won over 100 games 7 times. In that stretch, they've won 1 singular World Series and haven't even won an ALCS apart from their 1 World Series win. We've seen the Yankees get absolutely dominated by the Astros for the past couple of postseasons, and as a Red Sox fan, I love every second of it. But as a baseball fan in general, it's just confusing how much the Yankees cannot perform come October. Over the past few postseasons, it's becoming very clear that if you out-homer your opponent, you're probably going to win the series. However, this doesn't work for the Yankees. They've just choked so many series, and yes, they do make the postseason more than anyone else, which does give them more opportunity for chokes, but you just simply cannot ignore the fact that they choke, and they choke a lot. And let's just mention 2004, because first off, it's funny, and second off, it's the only 3-0 series choke in MLB history. So that just makes it even worse. Hopefully the Yankees continue to choke and they continue to be stuck at 27 rings. The final team is very well known as postseason chokers, with one of the most well-known choke artists being on the squad. The Los Angeles Dodgers have not won a real World Series since 1988. Again, yes, shortened season, they did win the World Series. However, like I said the entire video so far, I really discredit that season. Part of the thing that makes the postseason so much different than the regular season is the extremely loud and intense atmosphere. The 2020 season did not have that. So in my opinion, it doesn't really help them very much in their being major chokers. Over the past 11 years, the Dodgers have won the NL West 10 times, and the one time they came second, they won 106 games. They had over 90 wins in all of those seasons other than the shortened season, which was their second best winning percentage, only to their 111 win 2022 campaign. Speaking of 2022, 111 wins. They won 1 game in October. This season, they won 100 games in the regular season. They won 1 game in October. Clayton Kershaw just shuts down in the postseason and has thrown away so many opportunities in October. The Dodgers almost always are the favorites in the NL, and they always come up short. Also, shout out to Mookie Betts for being a true postseason collapser. Even in the 2018 playoff run for the Sox, he was just an offensive no-show. In the end, I definitely say that the two biggest postseason chokers are the Yankees and the Dodgers. They are almost always the favorites going into the season, and they have great regular seasons, then they fail to deliver in October. It's the Dodgers and the Yankees cycle. Overall, because of the fact that the Dodgers did win the shortened season, I have to say that the Yankees are the biggest postseason chokers. I know, Yankees fans are going to leave dislikes, so if your favorite team is not the biggest postseason choker, then leave a like to counteract all the Yankees fans. Comment anything you disagree with, and subscribe for more MLB content. Thanks for watching.